Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Carl E. Long. I'm your host, Carl E. Long, and welcome to my podcast, guys. We are talking about what is going on in America, and this is what this podcast is all about. So today's topic, guys, is capital chaos. The assault on the democracy continues. Yes, unfortunately, nothing has calmed down. The zone is still steadily getting flooded. So we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. So what I do, I spend a lot of time during the week gathering news information, trying to make sure that I am reporting to you those stories that are going to affect your everyday life in America. There's a lot that was written on this election, and I believe that a large majority of the people didn't truly know what they were voting for. Yes, we're going to hear this 1,000 times. We tried to warn you. We did. We did try to warn you. We tried, but we didn't do it. So here we are. Here we are, guys. Here we are. So as I said in previous episodes, that we do have some fail safes. We have some things that's going to help us to mobilize and get things in the right corners, moving in the right direction, so that you don't live in a country that you don't no longer recognize. Okay? So there are some things to do it, and there's some people out there that are doing it for you. Yes. So one of the things that I have always said, and I heard Congressman Alexander Ocasio-Cortez say as well, if you want to know anything about Trump and Elon Musk, follow the money. Follow the money, or follow the tantrum, or follow the revenge. Those are the things that you're going to find out that are being addressed. American people, we haven't gotten anything yet. I mean, the only thing that I think that Americans overwhelmingly agreed with was the getting the southern border control. We've always wanted that. We wanted control. We want immigration to be a natural thing that happens, an orderly thing that happens. So no one is against that. Never have been. But we want it done with humanity. And we want to give people the right chance to become American citizens. We live in a great country. I understand why people want to live here. There's no place like America. And I get that. I really get that. So those are the things that we are working on, and a lot of people working behind the scenes to make happen. Another thing that I discovered is also, if you follow the trend of what's happening, there is a huge assault on people of color. I'm saying people of color just because I'm being nice, but I think it's more on African Americans. There's this tone in the country that we are still asking for more and more and more and more. Why do we have to constantly pay for this slavery thing? You've gotten everything you've got done. You need. You're doing successful things. You got big things happening. People are getting rich. Da 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 da. Yeah, but it's just not quite enough yet. So the tone is shut up. You're in America. Do your thing and get it like everybody else. So they think we want a handout. That has never been what Black Americans want, is a handout. We just wanted equality. Simple as that. Equality. That's it. So I look at some of these organizations that they're targeting, and who they're targeting is U.S. government employees. Now, here's something that you may not know is that a lot of the U.S. government employees are black. Yeah, black people have been able to maintain some wealth in working in government. As a matter of fact, the wealthiest county in America is in the state of Maryland. Prince George County and Charles County. Those are two of the most wealthiest counties in America. Let me just read a little bit about what goes on in that county right here. The wealth in Charles County and Prince George County, Maryland, which are among the wealthiest majority black counties in the U.S., primarily comes from government and public sector jobs. That's where they get their wealth. The wealthiest people work for the government. Yes. Federal government, many residents work in Washington, D.C., such as agencies as the Pentagon, NASA, Homeland Security, NIH, and the State Department. local and state government, public school systems, law enforcement, and county administrations also provide stable, high-paying jobs. Military and defense contracting. The proximity of Andrews Air Force Base, the Pentagon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Booz Allen Hamilton provide lucrative careers in IT, defense, and engineering. And then there's healthcare and biotechnology. Nearby institutions like Walter Reed Medical Center, Johns Hopkins University, and the NIH contribute to high-paying healthcare and research jobs. And then there's some entrepreneurship in black-owned businesses. There's a growing number of real estate developers, consultants, law firms, and small businesses. And real estate and home equity, high home ownership rates, and rising property values have created generational wealth for black families in these counties. So the federal government is our fail-safe. They've always done us right. They have always done us right, and that's why there's wealth there. I mean, we have not been able to get generational wealth, and we're just now starting to get that. So the government has been a place where African Americans have been drawn to work there. I've always wanted to work in the U.S. government. I do, because number one, you can't get fired that easy. There's a system of pay that is just perfect, and you get all these great levels, and you constantly make money, and the jobs are professional jobs, and they require education. All those positions that I just run, those are highly skilled educations. Some may be lower skills and entry level, but for the most part, they're high paying jobs. So think about it. Trump is laying off a lot of the inspector generals they were black. A lot of these high ranking officials that he's laying off, and a lot of these people are black. Yeah. So there is an attack on black people in the Trump administration. He's never going to say that, but it's quite clear. It's quite clear. There is a story behind everything that Trump is going to. Either it's revenge, either he's trying to make money for himself, or he's had a tantrum and he's upset and somebody said something about it and he's back on it, trying to, make safe face. So American people are not in that. We're nowhere in that formula. Nowhere. We really aren't in this term of Trump. And he doesn't care, guys. He doesn't care. He's a lame duck president. 4 years. He can do what he wants. He don't have to worry about campaigning. So he doesn't care. So if he gets stuff, he gets around to the American people and gets the prices of eggs, which he's not going to be doing that because that's the bird flu. And anything else that he said he's going to do, it's going to be way down there. They already said it's going to take some time. But that's not what he said on the campaign trail. He said on day one. Are you listening to me, people that voted for him? He said on day one. Now, him and his vice president, they're saying it's going to take some time. Right. All right. So there we have that. Now, I wanted to introduce you to a guy named Keith Boykin. Keith Boykin, let's tell you who is Keith Boykin. Keith Boykin is an accomplished American author, TV and film producer, and political commentator. He is New York Times best-selling author of 7 books, including titles like One More River to Cross, Black and Gay in America, and Why Does Everything Have to Be About Race? He's an accomplished author. Boykin has been an impressive educational background, having graduated from Dartmouth College and Harvard Law School. He's also served as special assistant to President Bill Clinton and was instrumental in organizing the first meeting between LGBT leaders and sitting U.S. presidents. In addition to writing political works, Boykin has been a national political commentator for CNN, which is where I come to find out about him and know who he is. And Boykin has been a national political commentator for CNN, co-hosted the BET Talk Show, My 2 Cents, and taught at Columbia University Institute for Research in African American Studies. He currently lives in Los Angeles and continues to produce content and write on various social and political issues. Now, I'm telling you, when there is a black person in positions like that, they're going to have this is the kind of credentials we have to have in order to have a voice, period. We come with education. We come with knowledge. We come with receipts. So the reason I wanted to preface him on this and let you know who he is, because he put out a really good TikTok and Instagram video on what is going on in the Trump administration. And I wanted you to listen to what this brother has put together. He's very smart. I listened to him, and so far him and I don't disagree on anything that he talks about. So just listen to what he put out, and then we'll come back at it.
We're witnessing right now. Donald Trump just installed a white supremacist at the State Department who openly proclaims that white men must be in charge of everything. He put in another at the Treasury Department who called to repeal the Civil Rights Act and bragged, "I was racist before it was cool." He put a Fox News host in charge of the Defense Department, even after the man was flagged by a service member as an insider threat and a possible white supremacist. He's installing a man to run the Department of Health and Human Services who believes that black people should not be given the same vaccines as white people. And he gave unprecedented government access to an unelected white South African billionaire who performs Nazi salutes, tells far-right Germans to let go of their Hitler guilt, and is coercing black leaders in South Africa because he thinks white people are being persecuted. Just since Inauguration Day, we've seen white supremacists on the subway in Washington, D.C., Patriot Front members at the Jefferson Memorial, and Proud Boys marching through the streets of the Capitol. And now a far right-wing group has published the names and photos of mostly black federal workers in an alarming new DEI watch list that effectively puts a target on their backs. These are the people Donald Trump is empowering. Trump's mission is to dismantle decades, if not centuries, of civil rights progress in government, business, academia, and culture. In government, he's rescinding executive orders that have protected black people since the 1960s and trying to eliminate the constitutional protection of birthright citizenship from the 1860s. In business, he's pressuring companies to end their DEI programs, and far too many are willingly responding with anticipatory obedience. In academia, he's threatening to investigate colleges and universities and withhold federal funding for schools that promote racial justice. And in the culture, even the NFL has removed its End Racism sign at the Super Bowl, although the league claims it's not connected to Trump's attendance at the game. 1 year ago, I wrote a book called Why Does Everything Have to Be About Race that warned about 5 features of modern racism. Number 1, erasing black history. Number 2, centering white victimhood. Number 3, denying black oppression. Number 4, promoting myths of black inferiority. And number 5, rebranding racism. Trump is doing all 5 in his first month in office. His Defense Department banned Black History Month events and removed a video about the Tuskegee Airmen, while the Veterans Affairs Office told a black official not to mention DEI during an MLK event, all of which erases black history. His sweeping pardons for hundreds of January 6 insurrectionists, lesser-known pardons for 2 white police officers who murdered a black man, and his campaign to bring back Confederate names on military bases all center a racist misperception of white victimhood. His rescission of decades-old civil rights executive orders fuels right-wing denial of black oppression. His reckless attack on DEI immediately after the D.C. plane crash promotes discriminatory myths of black inferiority, and his coded language gaslighting us about meritocracy from a man who was the first president elected with no experience in government or military and then became the first criminal to be elected represents a stunning example of rebranding racism. As a black American, it's hard not to reach the conclusion that white America would rather enable a destructive fascist to ruin the country than relinquish its unearned white privilege. The majority of white voters supported Trump in all 3 of his presidential campaigns. Black people did not. We and the indigenous have been the conscience of this country since the founding of the republic. But we are not the majority. We've done our job and will continue to fight for justice. But now it's time, in fact, it's well past time for white people to put up or shut up about democracy.
That boy is bad. He is bad. And all during the election, he stood up for Kamala. He stood up for Joe Biden. He stood up for them. And he's always had the same message that our problem is bigger than what you think. Our problem is racism in this country. And if you have a chance, check out his book. I need to check his book out as well. But he's bad. But he put all that into one little video of everything that's going on. Taxing, isn't it? It's crazy. But it's the truth. It's the truth. It really is the truth. And I told you also that Mr. Barkin is off the chain. Just want you to make sure that you know that. And if you have a chance to check out any of his socials, go and follow him. He's all over. Keith Boykin, Boykin, and check him out. All right. Now, I also said that you need to follow the tantrum or follow something. Okay, so we have a tantrum going on with USA aid. Why do you think that they went after this international organization that helps poor people all over the world, mostly black countries? Yes, disenfranchised countries. They're not white countries by no means, not at all. And they do a lot of aid there. But one of the main reasons that they are doing this is because Elon has something to get them back at them for. Read this. Additionally, concerns have been raised about potential conflict of interest as U.S. Aid's Inspector General had previously. These are the Inspector Generals that they fired. Okay, they fired just all of them. I think They had previously launched a probe into Starlink. Elon owns Starlink, a company operated by Musk. This has led to questions regarding Musk's role in the agency's downsizing. In summary, while USAID is not suing Elon Musk directly, the agency and its unions have taken legal action against the broader administration efforts in which Musk plays a significant role to dismantle the agency. So he picked them specifically. You don't come after me, I'll take care of you first. I mean, this agency has been running and doing Good Samaritan stuff all over the world for years, since Kennedy started the thing. Why go after this agency? There you have it. So he probably went to Trump, and Trump said, go get him. You can have it. Start there. They're making it sound like there's big waste there. There's not. This represents less than 1% of the overall budget of our country. So it's not a big spender. But then, there is a sentiment, though, because a lot of people don't like that we help these countries. I mean, I'm sorry, America. There's a lot of people that don't believe in that. So they're going, rah, rah, let's do it. Let's do it. And this can be really dangerous. One of the congressmen who has been doing this kind of work, he's in the Peace Corps, and he's done this kind of work. If you start moving us out of these countries, we have a presence in these countries. By the Americans being there with our military and the U.S. aid and everybody else that's helping with these efforts, it has kept some of the dictator countries like China from coming in. They're just waiting for us to come out so they can go into these countries that have all these rich resources and take over. They don't do it now because we have a presence. So this is very dangerous that you do this. The U.S. we have got visibility all over the world with this particular agency. And it is also sent a message to our adversaries. Don't mess with this country because we're here and they are our allies and we're helping them. So you're not going to come in and take over this country. You see what I mean? So there are some bad implications or that can happen if they take us out of these countries. Luckily, we have a temporary hold from a federal judge, so they can't really do anything right now. All right, so that's where we are with that. Now, I know that the word around the street has been, where are the Democrats? Where are the Democrats? Where are they? They're not doing anything. I beg to differ. Democrats have been silently, we're not very vocal. We don't do this very well. They're getting a little bit more vocal. Republicans are good at campaigning and giving you the photo op. Democrats are not. We're just not good at it. But they're good people, and they typically are going to do the right thing, and they're doing the work. I remember during the campaign, they were saying that they were rising up all of the attorneys to make these big conglomerate attorney teams that's going to be fighting. And they have. And they've been doing that. So I want to tell you about some people that are doing some work, some shining stars that are out there. Let's start with Norm Eisen. You want to know Norm Eisen? Who is Norm Eisen? Norm Eisen is an American attorney, author, and former diplomat. He is a senior fellow in governance studies at the Brookings Institution. He's a CNN legal analyst and a co-founder of the State United Democracy Center. He was co-counsel for the House Judiciary Committee during the first impeachment trial of President Donald Trump in 2020. He served as White House Special Counsel for Ethics and Government Reform, United States Ambassador to the Czech Republic, and was the board chair of the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. He's the author of 4 books, including The Last Palace, Europe, Turbulent Century, In 5 Lives, and One Legendary House. So those are some of the books that he's done. But this brother here has been mobilizing. If I tell you he's been mobilizing these attorney teams and he's been behind a lot of these suits that are going on, dear Norman Eisen, these are the legal minds that we have working for us right now. He's behind mobilizing a lot of these local and state attorneys and the attorney generals. He's been helping to get this mobilized. So there's some people out here that's doing the work. So bravo to Norm Eisen. So happy that you're in our corner. All right, so the other guy, and I'm going through here, is Jamie Raskin. He's currently a congressman. Jamie Raskin. Who is Jamie Raskin? Congressman Jamie Raskin is a Democratic representative from Maryland's 8th Congressional District. He's been serving in the U.S. House of Representatives since 2017. Before that, he was a member of the Maryland State House from 2007 to 2016. Raskin is known for his work on constitutional law and civil rights. He was the lead impeachment manager during the second impeachment trial of former President Trump in response to the January 6th Capitol attack. He also co-chairs the Congressional Free Thought Caucus and has a background as a constitutional law professor at American University. Jamie's a bad boy too. He's a bad boy. He also has been mobilizing attorneys, and he's been responsible for some of these suits, particularly the USAID, and getting this thing done. Jamie is out there fighting for you guys. He is doing the work. I love listening to him. He's not afraid of Trump. He was on the January 6th committee, worked with that. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of speaking up. So these are some of your Democratic people that are out there making sure that there is no overreach from Donald J. Trump and his cronies. All right? So we got some people working. And then we have some junior and new congressmen. And let's just listen to my boy here, Maxwell Frost, congressman from Florida. And of course, he's with my congressman from the 30th district. Are we 31st? 30th district of Dallas, Texas. She's my congressman, Jasmine Crockett. Listen to what they've been doing with the work of getting Elon Musk out of the Treasury. And here's Maxwell.
Hey everybody, Congressman Maxwell Frost here with many of my colleagues. We're here because an unelected billionaire has access to the private information of our constituents, but we want to answer.
Yeah, so it's Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett here, and let me tell y'all, oversight is going to do our job. So we are here because we need to understand why it is that our Department of Treasury has been broken into, and we need to go ahead and handle the person that decided that they were going to have the audacity to go after our information.
Seth Magaziner from Rhode Island, former state treasurer. We need to know who is in control of the Treasury, what their permissions are.
There we go. Maxwell and Jasmine. She's only been in Congress a year. Is it a year? Maybe 2 years. And, 2 years. And then Maxwell is the youngest congressman ever elected to Congress. And that little boy is bad. And he's doing the fight. Here's some more from Maxwell.
Hey everybody, I'm here with multiple members of Congress. We're here to go to the Department of Education to fight for education, and they have locked the doors. They're not letting us in. It says all access entrance. There's this random guy out here who's refusing to let us in.
His name is
And right here, what's his name?
His name is Jim Harefield.
And right here, they have armed officers as well, acting like we're dangerous. A year ago, I'd be able to walk into this building and not be locked out. This is what they're doing. Elon is allowed in, but not you. Not your elected representatives, not parents, not students. Elon can go in, his goons can go in.
Look at that. This is the young boy. He's just 27 years old. I'm so proud of Maxwell. He took over Val Denning's congressional district after she had a failed election when she challenged Marco Rubio for Senate. I really thought she was going to get that. She got really close in Florida. I wonder what Val is doing these days. You know, I miss her. And so that little brother is on it. I mean, you have some very vocal, also AOC, she's out there working hard. I'm just giving you some names. Maxine Waters, she's working hard. There's some people that are working, guys. They're not just sitting around doing nothing and letting the Republicans just take over. Now, here is Congresswoman Presley. Listen to this. She's good, too.
This bill, titled the Dismantling DEI Act, is an utter disgrace. Having sat and read the text in preparation for today's markup, I have yet another example to tell my constituents about the unserious work of the Republican Party. Now, I'll work with anyone serious about progress who wants to center the people who call this country home. This isn't it. The Committee on Oversight has the broadest jurisdiction in the entire House of Representatives to investigate any topic it chooses, but we are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real. The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism. And a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical. On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. During World War II, the federal government forcibly relocated and incarcerated 110,000 Japanese Americans. The FHA practiced redlining in the 1930s and 60s to deny mortgages to Black Americans, which is why we have a racial wealth gap today. I could go on. The GI Bill, which is supposed to be race neutral, denied access to Black Americans, denying them equal access to education and housing benefits, which is why we do not have generational wealth. Don't talk to me about merit when those Black servicemen fought for our freedoms. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic Black man fighting for equality for Black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. What I am, though, is committed. Committed to speaking truth to power, committed to standing up for marginalized communities and vulnerable people, committed to ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity to buy a house, to work a job, to pursue.
There you go. She's a part of the squad. She's been in there fighting for a long time and trying to get the younger voters mobilized. And they've been doing a great job. And they are still fighting, guys. They are still fighting. So those are some of the stars that I know, that I've been following, that are making things happen. They're just not lip service. Jasmine works very hard. She's gotten bills passed. Yes, these little young congressmen and women are doing the work. I know this is a hard time. We don't have any voting power hardly, but there are some Republicans that are like right on the fence and they can be persuaded. So don't lose hope on everything. And we always have the courts. Things are going to get better, guys. They're going to get better. Now, here's something that has just really, really, really just gets under my craw every time I hear it. Every Republican pundit or MAGA spokesperson or whatever, when they get pushed into a corner, they will bring out, well, the American people, the majority people are wanting this. No, it wasn't a majority. It was a majority of the popular vote, but it was not the majority of Americans. All right? All right? No, it was not. In most cases, a president that's nominated and wins usually gets the popular vote. There hasn't been that many times where a president who won the election didn't get the popular vote, but a few. Let me just show you who those are, just because I think you want to know. Let's just tell you. All right, so throughout your history, there has only been 5 instances where a candidate won the presidency through an electoral college despite losing the popular vote. John Quincy Adams versus Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson secured more popular vote electoral votes, but lacked an electoral majority. This has only happened like once there. The decision went to the House, and they had to pick, and they picked John Quincy Adams. Rutherford V. Hayes versus Samuel Tilden. Tilden won the popular vote, but after disputed several electoral results and the compromise of 1877, Rutherford B. Hayes was awarded the presidency. So you see, this stuff can happen. 1888, Benjamin Harrison versus Grover Cleveland. Incumbent Grover Cleveland won the popular vote, but Benjamin Harrison secured more electoral votes, thus winning the presidency. This hasn't happened that many times. And then, of course, in 2000, George W. Bush versus Al Gore. It was down to Florida. Al Gore received more popular vote, but George W. Bush won the presidency after a contentious Florida recount and Supreme Court decision, securing a majority in the electoral college. Yeah, it was like hundreds of votes, like 500 or so, that he got the presidency. But we Democrats, we classy. And then 2016, Donald Trump versus Hillary. Hillary Clinton garnered more popular votes, but Donald Trump achieved a majority in the Electoral College, leading to his election as president. Those are the only times that a president who has won did not win the popular vote. So Trump is all high and mighty on his winning the popular vote because he didn't the first time. All right. So they're just touting that like it's some glorious number. There was a mandate, not a mandate. It's 1.2% difference of Kamala and Trump in winning this election. All right. So don't give me that. It drives me crazy. And if you want to talk about support, let's just look at a poll here as to what the support is like for Donald Trump. He's not getting 100% support, guys. He thinks the country is totally behind him. No, he's not. We're not. So recent polls indicate the American support for President Donald Trump's agenda is mixed. A Pew Research Center survey from early February 2025 found that 35% of Americans support all or most of Trump's policies and plans, while 17% support some of them. In contrast, 47% of adults support only a few or none of his plans. Specific policies have garnered varying levels of support. For instance, a CBS News poll reported that Trump's deportation plans are popular among Americans. However, there's a sentiment that his administration is not focusing enough on lowering prices. All right, that is the truth. Now, additionally, a Quinnipiac poll, University National poll, found that 60% of voters approve of sending U.S. troops to the southern border. I talked about this earlier. A lot of Americans agree with that. I agree with that. A key component of Trump's immigration policy. Conversely, a majority disapprove of Elon Musk's role in Trump's administration. These findings suggest that while certain elements of Trump's agenda resonate with some segments of the American populace, there is no overwhelming consensus supporting his overall policy direction. So, MAGA folks, quit saying that. The majority of the American people, no, they do not. He got in there because of a few misguided people. I'm going to keep saying that. Misguided. I'm not talking about MAGA forever. MAGA forever is MAGA forever. Nothing we can do about that. But the misguided ones, you made a mistake. You did make a mistake. Okay, and speaking of mistakes, let's go to Anderson Cooper here, who has been following the Proud Boys and all of the J6ers that have been pardoned, and a lot of them were already criminals. And he's following all the ones that are just getting in trouble on their own with the regular law for other stuff. And he's been following. So listen to this particular one of the pardonees, if you will, from Trump's J6 rally of people that were just protesting. That's what the official word is. A little protest that got out of hand. That's what they're calling it. Okay? Here we go. Anderson Cooper, guys.
It's been a little more than 2 weeks since President Trump granted clemency to more than 1,000 January 6 rioters, and tonight we've got an update on some of them. We begin with a guy named Andrew Take of Houston. He pleaded guilty to assaulting law enforcement on Capitol Hill, which is a felony. That's him on the right. Prosecutors say he used pepper spray and attacked an officer while holding a whip-like weapon. Here's another photo of him from January 6th. Now, just yesterday, he was arrested in Texas on a 2016 charge of online solicitation of a minor. The Harris County DA's office, which is handling that case, condemned his release. They say that they told federal authorities to hold on to this guy due to his pending warrant in Texas. The DA's office says they faxed the Bureau of Prisons a copy of that warrant on January 15th, but Takei was released 5 days later due to Trump's pardon. There's also 42-year-old Matthew Huddle, who was pardoned by the president. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison after pleading guilty to entering a restricted building, the U.S.
All right, so that's one J6er. These guys are getting arrested, going and coming, because they were criminals to begin with. They were a part of the Proud Boys. Some of them were in other kind of little QAnon groups and all kinds of stuff. They should never have gotten released. Now, listen to, this is the Proud Boy. He got the worst sentence out of everybody at the J6. He got sentenced to like 22 years. He was the head of the Proud Boys. Now he's had a revelation. Listen to this madness. Listen to this.
One of the most well-known of the people pardoned by President Trump is one-time leader of the so-called Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio. He had the longest sentence handed down related to the January 6 attacks, which was 22 years. That's him right after he was released from federal prison. He didn't say much as he got into an SUV and eventually made his way home to Miami, Florida. But he's been talking ever since, and just this week announced during an interview on Newsmax that he now knows what he wants to do next.
I think my future is in politics. I think I'm going to take a serious look at running for office at some point in 2026 or 2028. And I believe that there is a path for that because it is my passion, Now,
normally I love it when someone follows their passion. His passions, however, have led him down some pretty strange roads. I'm not just talking about the whole seditious conspiracy thing, trying to destroy the U.S. government by force. The same government he now says he has a passion to serve. He actually has a long history of criminal activity. Back in 2004, he was charged and pled guilty to grand theft and dealing stolen property, which are both felonies. In 2013, Tarrio pleaded guilty and was convicted of 4 felonies in a fraud case related to the labeling and sale of stolen diabetes test kits, according to Reuters. He was sentenced to 16 months in prison. Now, the judge was going to sentence Tarrio to 30 months in prison for that, but this is where Tarrio's passion apparently helped him. It turns out back then, Tarrio had probably, unbeknownst to many of his Proud Boys, been a passionate informant for federal and local law enforcement, according to Reuters. Tarrio's own attorney labeled him a, quote, prolific cooperator. The Reuters story details how an FBI agent told the court that Tarrio was a, quote, key component in helping with investigations from marijuana to cocaine and ecstasy and helped in the prosecution of more than a dozen people. Now, because of Tarrio's history of helping law enforcement, his attorney was able to convince the judge to shave 14 months off of his sentence back in 2014. When Reuters asked Tarrio about being an informant, he denied it, and he told them, quote, I don't know any of this, end quote. When he was then confronted with court transcripts that confirm his role as an informant, Tarrio said, "I don't recall any of this." He doesn't seem so proud of that. He did show another kind of passion at his sentencing hearing for seditious conspiracy. He seemed passionately remorseful about his role on January 6th. "I want to voice to this court and your honor and to those present how sorry I am for the events that occurred on January 6th. I thought of myself morally above others, and this trial has humbled me and showed me how wrong I truly was to believe that." He also called January 6th a national embarrassment and said that when he gets back home, he wants nothing to do with politics. But of course, that was then when he was in front of a judge who was going to sentence him. After the pardon, he seems to have forgotten all that. Here's what he recently told CNN's Laura Coates.
I don't see it as what I've done anything wrong. I was improperly indicted. I do see it as a miscarriage of justice. And I think, like I said before, I can't condone like assaults on a police officer, but I think President Trump said it right. He was going to go case by case, and he did. And it wasn't the actions that he pardoned, it was the miscarriage of justice that he pardoned.
Yeah, he didn't go case by case. He's back in sort of the Proud Boy costume, the Fred Perry there, the black and gold. In his first interview after being released from prison, he spoke to Alex Jones, and this is what he said.
The trial should have never happened, and if it did happen, it should have been outside of the jurisdiction of the district. But that's how it didn't matter what evidence we were going to bring in, Alex. They didn't care about the evidence. They cared about putting Trump supporters in prison. Well, now it's our turn.
Did you hear that? Which is it? Did you hear that guy? What a horrible mixed bag. Gets before the judge. It shouldn't have happened. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now I'm running for office. Should never have happened. And I don't condone battery to police, assaulting police. However, which is it? See, this is what's so crazy about this, guys. This is what's so crazy about this. It's just, you feel like that you're in some crazy movie or this could be a whole movie of what's been going on with the Trump administration. And trying to keep up with what they're flooding the zone with is even crazier. Now, I told you if you want to know Trump's agenda, just follow the money, follow the revenge, or follow the tantrum. Here's a tantrum. Trump has been upset about his first term. He didn't come to the Kennedy Center honors. He was always invited. The president's always invited. But because they didn't do a Mr. President, come to the thing or whatever, he decided to boycott it. He has a love-hate relationship with Hollywood because most Hollywoods are liberals. This is a fact. And a lot of that comes from back in the McCarthy era. A lot of them are liberals. And so just to get them back, he fired the board, and he's getting a whole new board, and he's made himself the head of the board of the Kennedy Center honors. So I guess he'll only have people that he wants to be honored there. It's always been at the discretion of the president as well as the committee, so you do have a little leverage there, dear Mr. Trump. But, this is just petty stuff. He's going after the craziest stuff in the world. And if you look at it, it's going to have money in it. He's trying to either make money off of it. He's getting a revenge for it. Somebody embarrassed him. He's going after everybody. And where are the American people in this? Nowhere. We are nowhere in this equation. So I'm listening. I want all of you Trumpers, and I'm especially not talking to the MAGA Trumps because there's nothing we can do. You guys, you can't break you. You can't give you any truth because you're going to go with some crazy conspiracy theory and stay with it. But what we can do is try to give you some truth. You can take it or leave it. I saw a lady online that was having this large argument on Twitter, Twitter. Then I just finally told her, don't waste your time with that. You've made your point. There's nothing you can do. You're wasting valuable time with a MAGA person. You are. But there were some people that voted for him who didn't know what they were doing. They were following they were listening to podcasts, and people were thinking that it's the cool thing to do to vote for Trump. And they did it. We're trying to get you back on the right side of justice and democracy for this country. We're trying to get you back. So that's what's going on there, guys. So my final thing is I want to leave you with something very funny. The 92%. Do y'all know the 92%? The 92%. And those would be black women who carried that election. 92% of black women voted for Kamala Harris. Yes. So if you go on TikTok, there's some hilarious videos out there, Instagram, everywhere, on how a lot of the women are asking, where are the black women? Where are the black women? And all these other groups, where are the black? Nobody. It's mostly the women, but I'm going to leave you with where the black women are. They're on break. And this is the last thing on here. And listen to this. Just something funny to end the podcast with. Take a listen, and I'll be back.
I just heard somebody say, where is the black community? They are so quiet on TikTok. Let me tell you something. We not coming. When I say we not coming, we not coming. We not even asking you who gonna be over there. We are just not coming. We are resting. We are on break. Every time y'all see me, I'm in this bed. I done took a shower. I may have a different night shirt on, but I'm in this bed because I am minding my business and drinking my water. I make sure I get 80 ounces a day. My skin clearing up and everything. We are not coming. My edge is even growing back. We are not coming. We are on break. We are resting. Because let me tell you something. The first sign of trouble, and there's some black people around, he gonna declare martial law. And then y'all gonna blame that on us. We are not coming. We are not doing this. We are gonna mind our business. We are gonna go to work. We are gonna do our civic duty as citizens, and we gonna come to the crib and chill. We might have a cookout here and there, but we not coming. We not coming. Y'all should have figured this out before. We is minding our.
She said we minding our business and we are not coming. We are on break. That's pretty good. There's a ton of those videos out there. That was Natasha Stevenson. She's on TikTok if you want to follow her. She's got some hilarious stuff out there. But black women have pulled back. They really have. And they have been the backbone of the Democratic Party. And I know that they're kind of taking a back seat to all this, but I know that they'll be back. And when they come back, they're going to come back in droves. A lot of them are all still working out there too, but a lot of them, they're on break, y'all. So you might as well leave them alone. Let them have their break. They're getting their nails done. They're doing the stuff they love to do, and they're not going to be bothered with it, because I know my black sisters, and they put a lot of their heart and soul into trying to get this election and trying to get the word out, and they deserve a break. They do deserve a break. Nobody had those kind of numbers for a candidate. Not one group had those kind of numbers for a candidate by themselves. All right. So there you have it, guys. Another day in the world of the United States of America and what's going on with our current president, Donald Trump. So I want you guys to stay prayerful. I am a Christian guy, a Christian man, and I believe in prayer changes things. And stay hopeful. But do something too. I know you might be still on break, but you can do some silent things. You can do some silent things. Write your congressman. Yeah, mine is Jasmine Crockett. So I know things get done. I don't have to write her. She's getting things done. Write your congressman. They have a phone line. You can call, leave a message. Takes you no time. Leave a message. There's a voicemail it's going to pick up. You can email them. Tell them what you don't want. And you know, as a citizen, you can also sue. If you got a lawyer or you're a lawyer, you can sue the American government. Oh, and that was what I was going to say about Norm Eisen. I think it was him. It may have been Raskin, but one of them were saying that they're thinking about coming up with a class action suit from the American people versus Donald Trump and his administration. And it's going to have a chance where everybody gets to sign on to whether you want to be a part of this class action suit. Yes, that's coming. So there's some work being done on this. We're mobilizing people Get into the fight. Get into the fight. Black ladies, take your break. But my sisters will be back. I know that they will. And they'll be helping with this cause. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me. And I want you to know I've got some other things out on my podcast. I do a lot of movie reviews and things of that nature because it's my world. And, I love the freedom to do what we can do. But right now, we're trying to get our country right. So thank you so much for joining me. And you have a wonderful day. Until we meet again. Bye now.